EK tries to get me arrested. This happened about 2 years ago. Entitled kid, EK, me, ref, entitled kids, mom, EKM, EK friends. I run an after-school program for high schoolers. The idea is to create a safe space for them to do homework or hang out. We host various programs that help with leadership building, utilizing mentorship, community outreach and more. Within that program, I also created a leadership team that was made up of graduates who wanted to give back to the community. As a way to show my gratitude for their assistance, I would treat these guys to different events, activities and restaurants around town. This situation happened at a trampoline park. We had just arrived and the place was fairly empty. It was pretty awesome, as there was a foam pit, basketball rim, dodgeball court and trampolines scattered about. We signed off the safety waivers and went in. In all honesty, this shit's hard and after about 5 minutes my old ass was ready to leave. But the guys were having a blast. One of my students ended up organizing a dodgeball game with some of the middle schoolers there. So I joined in, and everyone was having a good time until EK showed. EK was this small light-skinned, red-hair boy, around 11 or so. He came in with a group of friends. When he joined he kept getting into people's faces, throwing the balls at super close distances, and just being an overall jerk. Meanwhile I was in the corner, mostly leaning on the foam wall and throwing anything that came my way. I was off to the side when I saw someone suddenly nailed EK with a ball, right in the noggin, to which I responded by pointing and laughing. Suddenly this kid turned, and glared at me. I saw he was miffed and I brought my laugh down to a chuckle. Then he darted off. About 10 minutes later one of the refs came. I had spoken to the guy earlier about the program and such, so he calmly pulled me aside. Ref.
So, that kid told his mom that you beat him.
Me. What? Ref.
He's saying you hit him, and the mom is on the phone with the police.
Me. Okay. Shit. Thanks for the tip. So, for reference, I'm a tall, large bearded man. And I know too well how easy it is to get the raw end of the stick for bullshit accusations. So this causes me to get a bit of an anxiety rush. With the ref's help I quickly make my way to the mother, all the while I'm trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to explain it. Even though I assumed there were cameras, it's still a bitch of a situation. Me. Excuse miss, apparently there seems to be some sort of misunderstanding? Ekam.
Yes, apparently you hit my son. What is a grown man doing playing on trampolines?
Me. No, I didn't. In fact I wasn't near your son, he was messing about with other kids. I'm actually here with my students, it's part of a church program. Ekam. Pauses. Looks at her son, who's pissed and looks back at me. She then hangs up the phone.
Okay, we'll figure this out.
She quickly gets up and walks to the back, while calling all of EK friends. They come over and she asks them. Ekam.
Was this the person bullying EK?
The friends look at me, and get this WTF look at their faces. EK friends.
No, it was someone else. He was in the corner. Yay, he wasn't doing anything. It was someone.
EK.
No, it was him. He did it, they're lying. He's the O.
EK friends.
No, it wasn't. He didn't do anything. Yay, it was another group of kids.
After that, EK darted off. His mom's face got red and she sort of brushed me off, I guess coming to terms that her son is a little shit. Everything got cleared up and I went back with my students. A little while later, the mom walked past me and sort of apologized for his behavior. Unfortunately, that little issue gave me some anxiety, and I put off planning another event for a bit. I'm just glad I spoke to the ref a bit before everything went down. 'Cause if he didn't tip me off, that whole thing would have been a shitfest. TLDR. Treated some students to trampoline park. Students organized dodgeball game. Peg kid gets laughed at. Tells mom I bullied him. Catch mom in the process of talking to police. She speaks to friends to see if I was indeed bullying, to which they free me of blame. EK runs away and mom sort of apologizes. You're going to have a child, you don't need video games. So to kick things off, I'm going to apologize if things are formatted weird or spelled wrong. I'm writing this on my phone at 4 a.m., all while trying to avoid waking my wife. I can't sleep right now because of this whole situation, and so instead of staring at my wife while she sleeps, I figured I could take the time to type all this out. For a little bit of backstory, this happened just today, and the circumstances of its occurrence should have screamed that something was going to happen. My wife and I are students at the university in the town in which we live, and we have a house from which we commute to school every day. That left us with our final option, the bus. Luck was on our side in the fact that there was a bus stop only a couple blocks away from our house, so we didn't have to walk too far. The bus came within a few minutes of us waiting, so before long we found ourselves seated and moving. Typically when we head off to our classes, she brings her 3DS with her to play while she waits for her next class. It's an original model 3DS that I got for her on our second Christmas together, and she's always taken very good care of it. Today she had brought Ocarina of Time to play, and she was fighting one of the bosses as young Link. And that is when the villain of our story enters the scene. The bus driver brought the bus to a stop, and the doors swung open to give entry to a woman probably in her mid to late 30s and her kid, a boy probably 7 or 8, maybe 9 at the most. The bus isn't crowded, but nonetheless as we read closer to the front, the mom decides they're going to sit down with us. The kid sits between my wife and his mom, and occasionally we catch him staring at the game my wife is playing. After a little while, she smiles and positions herself so he can watch a bit better, and then a little later hands it over and lets him start playing. For his credit, the kid was actually really nice. Very polite and not at all entitled, which made me feel even sorrier for him when all was said and done. Our stop finally arrived, and as he saw me stand and help my wife up, the kid closed the DS and made to hand it back to us. My wife thanked him and reached out to take it, but then his mom snatched it right out of her kid's hands. The ensuing conversation went somewhat closely to what follows. Wife.
Oh, excuse me, but that's mine.
M.
But he was having so much fun, can't he just play it a little longer?
Wife.
I'm sorry, but this is our stop and I really need it back. I don't want to hold up the bus any more than we have to.
M.
Aren't you a bit old for video games? I think giving them up could do you some good.
As she said that, she patted her own stomach. Did she really think my wife is just fat? My wife looked at me and raised her eyebrows like,
Is this bitch serious?
Then said,
I'm pregnant, ma'am.
In what was probably the least enthusiastic tone of voice I've heard her say it in. M.
See, you won't be needing it anyway. So he can have it, right?
Me. Not unless you want to go out and buy one for him. That one is very special to us and we'd like it back. Kid. Mom, just give it back. M.
Rounding on her kid, be quiet. I've got this, turns back to us, you're going to have a baby. You won't have time for video games, so you surely won't miss this.
The exchange went back and forth for a bit before the bus driver got out of his seat and came over. Unlike many moms in her position, this particular entitled mom relented when faced with someone with some amount of authority and reluctantly relinquished the 3DS. The kid looked clearly ashamed of his mom. We got off, said goodbye to the kid and thanked the bus driver for coming to our rescue. In between classes, she beat the inside of King Jabu Jabu's belly. Sorry if that was a bit anticlimactic, but it's hard to tell who an entitled mom will listen to. I'm half disappointed myself, but oh well. Maybe now that I've typed it all out I can sleep. Night folk. P.S. I posted another encounter with an M here before, and concluded it with a TLDR of entitled mom tries to steal my GBA that plays Fortnite. This time I'm not entirely joking when I say TLDR, M tries to steal my wife's 3DS that may be able to play Fortnite because everything else can play it, so YTF not a 3DS. Subscribe to my channel.